Pixel 9 review. Here we have it. A little late, but finally here. So, it's a really good phone, and I've really been enjoying using it, testing it out, and I gotta say, as much as I like the Pixel phones, like in the past, I've always gravitated towards the Pro. The Pros, of course, are always better and they suit my needs better, but the regular one has always been kind of lacking something. It's just not felt the same. It hasn't really felt on the same level. Of course, it's missing like the third camera. Earlier models, a higher refresh rate, and a couple other things along the way. But I gotta say, this time, I really think that Google did a good job giving us a mostly day-to-day pro level experience, but in a cheaper phone, and you don't really miss a whole lot of the extras. Now, the extras being a couple extra gigabytes of RAM, so we got 12 gigs of RAM instead of 16. We have a 4700 milliamp battery instead of a 5000 milliamp battery. We don't have the newer selfie camera, which I gotta say, the new selfie camera in the Pixel 9 Pro is amazing. I think it's the best one in the market right now. I love it. This one has the older selfie camera, which is still very good, but it's not as good as the one in the Pro. And then obviously we have two cameras on the back instead of three. But here's the other things. We have a higher refresh rate, 120 hertz refresh rate. We have always on display, and we've got the Tensor G4. So a lot of the stuff fundamentally is kind of in the same spot. 6.3-inch display, 2700 nits brightness instead of 3000. So there's very, very few things. And quite honestly, the few of the things they did change really are about the same. I feel like they changed the numbers and load them a little bit arbitrarily just so they could say, okay, this is lesser. But in reality, 4700 milliamp battery, not that big of a deal. You still have the macro lens. We still have the same primary camera, the same ultra wide. That's fantastic. Tensor G4, 12 gigabytes of RAM, which is what we had previously with some of like the pro level phones. So yeah, we kind of find ourselves in a position where you get basically almost on a day-to-day basis like a pro experience, but you're just missing some of the extra stuff. And the most glaring thing, of course, is the telephoto. Do you need it? Well, I do, but most people probably don't. And I was actually really surprised because I thought in like my own little myopic world that people would prefer a telephoto over an ultra wide, but apparently more people prefer the ultra wide over the telephoto. And with the HDR updates, the new ultra wide that's in here, it's really good. And then on top of that, of course, you've got the macro capability as well. So there are a lot of things here. Of course, there are distinctions as well because you don't get the pro camera mode, you can't shoot in the full resolution RAW and all that stuff, and it bends down to 12. So you get the 12 megapixel camera. It doesn't fire at the full 50. If you have the Pro, you can turn it all the way up and lock that full 50 megapixels. So they changed some things and maybe arbitrary for most people. For somebody who wants a pro level phone, you'll probably notice these things and gravitate towards the Pro. One thing I don't like that they did though, they took the price tag and they jacked it up even more. So we're looking at $799 now. So Google wants you to believe that their phone is as good as the iPhone 16, which also costs $799. In all actuality, the iPhone 16 is $829 because, well, you get the $30 activation fee if you get it through the carrier. If you pay cash for it, you got to pay $829, not the $799 price, which is really stupid and a dumb ripoff. But yeah, I mean, it's got everything going for it. IP68 Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the front and the back, good build quality, USB-C. It does have a little bit slower charging than the Pro, but still, I mean, none of these charging speeds in the Pixel phones or the iPhones are lightning blazing fast. You get the SOS messaging for emergency services, so satellite connectivity that way. And overall, of course, combined with the 7 years of support, 7 years of operating system updates, 7 years of security patches, I really feel like this is a special phone. I feel like all the Pixel 9s are special phones this year, except for the Fold, which I haven't tried out. Well, I mean, I've tested it some, but I didn't buy one, and that's a whole nother story. But the other cool thing is they gave us the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner, and I even have a glass screen protector on here. Ta-da, glass screen protector, works like a charm every time, very accurate. No light underneath your finger that blinds you or gives away your position, like on a tactical field training exercise. And it's actually funny. That used to be a problem, right? Well, back when I was in the military a long time ago, me being the tech nerd enthusiast that I was, yeah, sometimes you pull out your phone while you're out on a training mission, you're out on a field maneuver, you're out doing some land navigation, you're out doing a training exercise, assaulting the enemy territory. Yeah, light discipline is a thing. You have to make sure you're not giving away your position, right? So, yeah, The phone is very, very good. The signal is better. The three things, not four, the three things that I said it needed to fix, of course, are better. That's heat, battery life, and then, of course, the signal. The signal is much, much better. Now, the heat, I haven't really had any heat issues, but one thing that's missing from this phone versus the Pro phone. So if you take a look at the Pixel 9 Pro XL versus the Pixel 9 or the Pixel 9 Pro even, it doesn't have the vapor chamber. So there's a special vapor chamber that they put inside of the Pro models, which makes sense. You're going to do more pro level things, extended video stuff. When it comes to maybe some AI processing in the future, it's something that's going to require more horsepower, more battery, more heat mitigation, things like that, especially like upper end gaming and things like that. So the vapor chamber basically uses some ionized water, very, very little bit, inside this little sealed component. And using physics, what happens is as it gets hot, that water evaporates, and then the vapor goes to the ends of this vapor chamber, and then it cools off, and then it circulates back in water form. And although it's a very, very small amount, and even though there's not a whole lot of craziness going on there, what it does is it actually helps keep the processor cooler, keep the temperatures lower, so you can maintain those higher levels of performance. Even though when you look at this, like the benchmarks, it does throttle down faster than, like, say, the Snapdragon 8 Generation 3 or the A18, but really, I don't think it's that big of a deal, because you're never going to see that, because it's not going to be a problem for you ever. Benchmarks and reality are not the same thing. So yeah, the phone is very good, 3.15 gigahertz clock speed. And of course, you've got the tensor processing unit. It's capable of processing up to 50 tokens per second, which is a lot, especially for a smartphone. And then you can play top level games and things like that, 120 hertz refresh rate. Yes, it's not going to be the 100% experience you're looking at in like an S24, S24 Ultra, but I really believe a lot of that comes down to software optimization by the app developers, because it's a such larger platform, right? But either way, I mean, you can run anything you want, any game that you want. They're going to be very playable. You may just not be able to click the ultra setting. It might be a high setting instead of an ultra setting. So if you're a gamer, then probably this isn't the most ideal phone, because you want the best of the best of the best. But if you're just a normal phone user, just a phone enthusiast, if you really like the peony color, and I really like this peony color, by the way, this pink, really, really nice. The winter green's also nice, and there's, of course, porcelain, and there's obsidian as well. And we have the glossy back with this one, as opposed to, if you take a look at the, wherever it is, my Pixel 9 Pro XL, it has the more matte back. So it's not as glossy like this one. So the glossy one, more apt to pick up fingerprints and stuff, but really it's not even that bad. And the colors, it doesn't really show. So at the end of the day, is it worth $799? I think so, but I just, on principle alone, I don't like that they've kept jacking the prices up. But I think a lot of this is strategic, right? Because we know how Google does things. Google is very good about dropping the prices for these things. And when are they going to drop the price? Probably very soon. Why is that? Well, historically, the Google Pixel phones come out in October. And then a month later, 3-4 weeks later, like, they're so notorious for this, dropping the prices like $100, $200 to try and move some units during the holiday season. So we're quickly approaching that. Let me move my seat back a little bit further. So we're quickly approaching that, and we find ourselves in a position where, yes, it is higher coming out of the gate. They had decent trade-in prices. I traded in my Pixel 8 Pro, which I don't have a need for anymore because I have the Pixel 9 Pro, Pixel 9 Pro XL. So I'm like, let me trade this in. I got $699 credit for it. So basically I got $700. I paid $100 out of pocket for this. No big deal. That's no problem. I think that's pretty fair. And then, yeah, I just don't like they raise the price that much. I mean, is it worth that much? Technically, I guess so, especially with 7 years of support, 7 years of operating system updates, quarterly feature drops, monthly security patch updates, and things like that. You're going to be well protected, well updated, well covered. And then I think the Tensor G4 is really good. And I got to say, as I've been using these phones, they are the most impressive to me out of this year's new generation of phones here in the United States. So we got the S24, S24 Ultra, very good phone. I've got my S24 Ultra right here. And whenever I've been using it, especially when I first got it, it was cool, it's nice, you know, new car smell and all that stuff, new phone smell. But it never really felt super impressive. Like, it felt cool, it's nice, but like that excitement really wears off after like a couple of days. And then you feel like this phone just feels like the S23 Ultra, basically the same phone. And then you take a look at the iPhone. which doesn't particularly get me excited about anything, but there are some niceties they added there now. I mean, we've got the new camera action button. I love this new teal color. We've got the action button over on the side you can customize and do stuff with. So if you were coming over from an iPhone 13, 14, yeah, the 16, there's some neat stuff there. Probably worth upgrading if you want an iPhone, but still, and this is one thing I want to compare, because when you take a look at these phones side by side, like the iPhone, it does have two cameras, at least it has macro now, but no always on display. We don't have that. It's still a 60 hertz refresh rate screen. That sucks. And both of them have pretty slow charging, so it's not really a thing. But yeah, I think the Pixel 9 is more impressive across the board in that regard. I think this feels like a more premium phone. I feel like it's a more dated and better experience for somebody who wants to have that premium feeling experience in a phone, but you don't want to spend the extra money. Now, should you spend the extra money? Maybe. I mean, the Pixel 9 Pro is an excellent phone. Excellent. And the Pixel 9, Pixel 9 Pro, they're both going to get you all day battery. Like that's fine. I don't have any concerns there. You should be able to get 6-7 hours screen on time. It should be good for you. No real problems there, especially for a normal person. Like not me. I'm not a normal person. Not in any stretch of the normal conversation, but not in the tech conversation either. Like I'm a very special person that needs a lot of battery life. It needs a lot of screen on time. And that's why I typically gravitate towards the Ultras and the Maxes. Not because I like the size, because I don't, but with a larger phone size comes a larger battery, which is kind of what I need. So yeah, if you want kind of that normal experience, if you want to have that more premium feeling thing, these phones have felt very special to me. Like the Pixel 9 series, I like what they did. I like they've got the standout camera bump on the back. I know some people are like, oh, it looks like an iPhone. I'm like, who cares? Obviously, from the back, it's not an iPhone. Apple does not have a lock on flat sides and rounded corners. It just doesn't. I mean, we've seen that with Samsung. We've seen that with Xiaomi. We see that with Google. We see it with the iPhone. These things change and bounce back and forth every couple of years. So it's really whatever in that regard. But even after still using these, especially with the Pro model, they feel to me zippy. They feel faster. Like the stock Android experience feels so crisp and smooth. It's like they polished and ironed out the animations. Those have gotten better this year. Using it, scrolling back and forth has been a really nice experience. Definitely, they keep the refresh rate up a little bit higher when it's doing that than Apple, which is catching flack because it's kind of knocking their high refresh rate in many instances down to 80 hertz instead of 120 hertz, or even dropping to 60. So yeah, I think Google did a lot of good stuff here. I don't like to keep raising the prices. I guess, yeah, it kind of is worth it, I guess. And we probably will see some aggressive sales, especially once we get to Black Friday, holiday shopping, and things like that. I still feel like it's more of like a $6.99 thing. And it's kind of hard because mentally you're like, okay, this phone was like $5.99, $5.49, $6.49. It just keeps going up every year. And when we started with the phone that was like $200 cheaper, and now at $7.99, it's like, man, that's kind of an expensive phone. But I get it. It really is on par. And I think that's maybe the message they're sending. Their phones are on par in design and performance, in build quality, and in the deliverables, on par with, I think, Samsung and Apple. And I think this is the first time I can really say that. Like, it felt like there was always something a little missing. And now it feels like they're right there on the same level, if not even a little bit better in some areas. And I got to say, like the Pro model, that selfie is amazing. It's such a good camera, especially now with the extra stuff they added in there for stabilization and for video quality, top notch. So the Pixel 9, if you want to get one, solid phone. Great cameras, not as great as the Pro, but you're not paying Pro prices. You still get the macro. You get this beautiful screen, high brightness, high refresh rate, and you get tons of support, great build quality, IP68, the whole 9 yards, and it really is, I think, a good phone. I think it's a really good phone. And also, let me go and throw this out there. I always use these cases with my Pixels. It's the Spigen Liquid Air, and even though I'm saying this right here, like right here, right now, live in the flesh, I'm telling you it's a Spigen Liquid Air, I will have 2 or 3 people in the comments saying, what case is that? Even though I like waited till way in the end. So anyway, Google's done a great job with this phone. Yes, it's not perfect. It's not a Pro. And I think that's okay, though. Not everybody needs a Pro phone, and not everybody wants to pay Pro prices. I mean, at the end of the day, you take a look at the economy and the way everything is. I mean, shoot, I went to the grocery store yesterday, 18-pack of like the store brand eggs, $6.22. Like, that's just insane. everything is so expensive nowadays. So even, yeah, $799 is an expensive phone, but the nice thing is a lot of these places with contracts and agreements and installment plans and trade-ins and stuff, you can get it mostly for free in a lot of those instances with like AT&T and T-Mobile. But yeah, if you want to pay for it outright, $200 is still $200. And if you don't need the extras, but this phone might work out just great for you. And I think it has some nice colors. I think it looks great. And I like this big, huge emphasis on the camera, because you look at the big, huge emphasis on the camera there versus the iPhone here. I think it really sends a message that, like, this is big, this is important, and it's going to take good photos for you. So that's all I got. Big fan of this phone. They did a good job, and that's pretty much all she wrote. So if you have any questions, comments, gripes, concerns, complaints, all that stuff, go to the comment section. Sorry it took me so long to get to this. It's been crazy. Like, so I got the phone, and actually my phone showed up later, and I was in Germany for like 8 days for IFA, which is a big tech convention show. I came back, my Pro is sitting on the porch. I'd already been covering the Pro Max, and then when new iPhones come out, unfortunately, I'm only one person. There's only so many things I can cover at once. So better late than never. I'm here. I got it covered. And more exciting stuff coming this month, because Android 15 should be here pretty much in the next couple of weeks. So that could delay the security patch stuff. We'll have to keep an eye on that. I mean, I didn't pay attention today. Today is the first day of October, but usually the patches, the security patch will come out the first Monday of October. It's the first Monday of the month, but we're kind of past that. So we'll see if it rolls out this week. So be on the lookout if we get a new security patch, and then also waiting for Android 15 very, very soon down the pipe. And that's going to change things even more. Bring some new AI stuff in here. Of course, you got the AI stuff if you care about it. We've covered a lot of that stuff ad nauseum, especially in the other videos, and most people know. You've got Gemini, that's cool, and you've got some of the smart features like, circle to search, and your magic eraser and magic editor, all those crazy things. So that's all I got. As always, if you enjoyed the video, if you like this stuff, you like the pixel things, you're in the right place. Hit the like and the subscribe button and the little notification bell if you want updates when new videos come out. And as always, thanks for being here. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys next time.